Ever since the formation of association football in 1863, it's been known as the working man's game. For better or worse, the idea of 22 men going out and kicking a ball for an hour and a half has fascinated, infatuated and gripped entire nations. In 1969, football even helped trigger a war between El Salvador and Honduras. Over the past 2 decades, however, the game has been increasingly overtaken by money. Billionaire owners such as Roman Abramovich, Stan Kroenke and Sheikh Mansour have taken the beautiful game away from the fans in favour of making it into a business. Non-league clubs have suffered the most from this, with the vast majority not having access to big money, meaning they struggle to survive when moving up the leagues. Across the country, however, a small number of clubs, both in non-league and the professional leagues, are fighting back. For these clubs, the fans are the most important thing for them, and what better way to show this than to make them the owners? This has fostered a great sense of community among the fans at these clubs, but questions have been asked, and for good reason. When you rely on the punters to keep your club going, just how long can you keep at it? And can these clubs fight to rise up the leagues like their competitors who have majority shareholders? Tonbridge Angels FC was founded in 1947 on the suggestion of Herbert Porch, who became the club's first ever chairman. Since its formation in 1947, a number of famous faces have graced their way throughout the doors, such as Roy Hodgson, Malcolm Super Mac MacDonald, Terry Naylor and George Cohen, all of whom have either played at the club or managed. But Tonbridge Angels is in a massive minority when it comes to English football. Across the whole of England, there are approximately 5,300 clubs registered under the Football Association. Of these 5,300, just 17 of those follow the structure called supporter buyout. This means that while there may be other financial backers in the club, the fans are in control. No matter whether you pay him £50 a year or £50,000 a year, you have the exact same number of shares in the club and the exact same say in decisions and votes. While almost all of the fan-owned clubs in England are in non-league, 2 clubs stand out as having made the model work to an extent in the professional leagues. AFC Wimbledon were created after the movement of the old Wimbledon to Milton Keynes and have been proudly fan-owned since then. Wycombe Wanderers was moved to fan ownership in 2012 after the takeover of the Wycombe Wanderers Supporters Trust, which ended a transfer embargo imposed on the club for failing to file their accounts. Tonbridge Angels are one of the newer clubs when it comes to fan ownership. The club moved to a supporter buyout scheme in the 2014-15 season during a dismal run under manager Tommy Warrilow, which saw them relegated from the Conference South into the Isthmian Premier. Ever since the fans took over at Longmead Stadium, the Angels have been more stable financially, and while they remain in the Isthmian Premier, they are firmly in the top half, challenging for promotion every year. This season, the club has been sitting comfortably in the playoff positions for most of the time, and is being seen as a golden example of how fan ownership can work well. Matt Davison has been coming down to Tonbridge for almost all of his life. Now he and his son Mark attend every match, home and away, and are well known in the stands by the regulars. Matt donates his time to the club to profile players throughout the season, and saw for himself a transition from majority shareholder ownership to fan ownership, which he believes is a positive thing. He regards Longmead Stadium as his second home, and as a £25 a year owner himself, was eager to praise how fan passion has increased under the structure.
You feel you do genuinely own it, and the fact you'll get a say in the meetings, not that I've necessarily been to many AGMs, it's not really the type of thing I enjoy, but you feel you feel you're part of it, you feel it's your club. I felt that anyway here. I felt it's something that included us all. But I think when it became official, we were all, if you like, shareholders, owners. You feel you're all together, and that's what's good about football. It's sort of tribal, isn't it? It's all behind the goal. You're as one. You've all got the same belief, and you can all come from different backgrounds, and you can all come from different creeds, different ages, different genders, different jobs. But you're all the same in that one love of your football club.
Tonbridge uses a 3-tiered structure for their fan ownership. Fans can become an owner for £25 a season, and they have 1 vote at the AGM as a result, among other benefits. Any owner is also able to stand to be elected to the board or to be chairman or chairwoman. The board are in their positions for 1 year unless otherwise stated, but can remain longer if there are no new owners standing for election. The board decide on playing and transfer budget every year for the management. The management team is then given the budget and are expected to keep in line with this and have complete power over how that is spent throughout the season. Chairman Dave Netherstreet says that this structure works best for the club and ensures minimal interference.
Except the manager this season, if it was left up to me to interfere, we'd probably be in the Sevenoaks District League by the end of the season, so we leave it to the people who know what they're doing.
Matt was also keen to stress that while having a big spender come into the club and bankrolling you for a period can be very tempting, it should be avoided wherever possible due to its unsustainability. A prime example of this is Billericay Town FC, who nearly went under last year after eccentric owner Glenn Tamplin, who had poured huge amounts of money into the club in the 2017 to 2018 season, looked like he was going to leave the club. Tamplin ultimately stayed at Billericay, partially due to his huge weekly outgoings at the club making Billericay unsustainable for a new owner.
The worst thing that can happen to your football club is what's happened to someone like Billericay, or at the top end of the scale, sort of Manchester City, or sort of Portsmouth. You see what happened to them, where they're given hope by massive amounts of money going in, and then it all goes, and the club is not the same as it was when they took over. That is actually the last thing I'd want to happen. It might give us a couple of years of success and we can enjoy that on the field. But the most important thing is I want this football club to still be here for the rest of my life. I want to come down here every Saturday for the rest of my life. And if anything puts that at risk, just don't do it.
Due to Tonbridge's refusal to adopt a big shareholder structure like the one in place at the vast majority of clubs in England, fundraising is a year-long venture down at Longmead Stadium. In the 2017 to 2018 season, Tonbridge Angels' total expenditure for the season was £417,386. While this may be pocket change for a Premier League club, without a majority shareholder pumping that money into the club, every week can be a battle to keep the floodlights on. Jim Rowe is the webmaster and communications manager at Tonbridge Angels FC and is an owner in the club himself. Jim oversees many aspects of the club's running and is seen as an integral part of the club's structure. Jim is also very much involved in matchday fundraising at the club and explained to me in detail what the club does to fundraise throughout the year without having to get the begging bowls out.
Obviously the main revenue, basic bread and butter revenue stream of the club is the gate money and the season ticket money and the things that we sell on the gate, like lottery tickets and golden goal tickets and such like. In addition to that, and that would never be enough to run the club, in addition to that, we do let out our premises for parties. The clubhouse can be let out for parties. We have a marquee, which is quite a large area, in fact, which can be used for all sorts of functions, weddings, special parties, business meetings, and the like.
Tonbridge's marquee has been a great money earner for the club, allowing them to host things such as sporting dinners with speakers such as Jeff Hurst, Paul Merson and Bruce Grobbelaar, as well as hiring it out to the public. The marquee also played host to a viewing party throughout England's successful World Cup campaign, which was attended by hundreds of people. However, this is not a usual way of making money for a football club, but it's vital nonetheless, as Jim explained.
To diverse a little bit, the non-league financial model in 2019 is quite challenging. The leagues that we play in require us to do a lot of things to make sure that the games are run properly, the stadia are safe and fit for purpose. That actually costs quite a lot of money, and you haven't even got to the stage of paying your players. Yeah. So that's what makes the whole financial model quite challenging. And yeah, we do have to really be quite creative in the way that we raise money.
A vital part of Tonbridge's fundraising structure throughout the season is the 12th Man Fund. The fund, which was set up in the 2016 to 17 season to boost the team's playing budget, has been very successful since its introduction. Many players at the club have had their wages paid in part or even in full by the fund, thus taking strain off of the club's already tight budget.
Yeah, the 12th Man Fund, again, is by voluntary donation. Any supporter can put money into the 12th Man Fund. We have a standing order scheme, or just throw some money into the bucket. And what it provides is it's over and above the actual playing budget which the club itself gives to Steve McKim. So this is over and above that and allows him to bring in players that he otherwise wouldn't be able to afford.
When the club signs somebody and they've used your money to do it, I know that really means a lot to the players. So I speak to the players and they say, when it's fans' money that's contributed towards their wages, them coming to the club, they really feel a part of the club. We really feel they're a part of us. Players that have been signed to the 12th Man Fund, Tom Derry, Liam King earlier in the season, perhaps means a little bit more, really.
While the 12th Man Fund has been very successful for Tonbridge in terms of bringing in extra funds to climb up the leagues, it's by no means a perfect system. Dave Netherstreet, who has been chairman for 2 years, pointed out to me the main problem with the scheme. It's 100% dependent on the fans' generosity.
However, there is the problem if the 12-man fund
If it
is
dries up,
infused.
then there's financial problems.
Yeah, but then the manager is aware of that, and the manager will have to arrange his budget accordingly.
The financial implications for clubs like Tonbridge are long and far-reaching and extend far beyond just the boardroom. Steve McKim has been manager at the club for 5 years now, and he and his backroom staff have seen the club's transition to majority supporter ownership. Assistant manager Justin Lutchford has been around the club for 4.5 years and has experienced both positives and negatives at the club with regards to the finances of the club and how it affects performances on the pitch.
You know, for us to really go at the league and go for the league title every year, you have got to have a lot more money coming in. What we've done this year is obviously we started well, didn't have a bit of a wobble, but now we're on the turn again and we can see light at the end of the tunnel with 9 games to go. And I think what the gaffer's done with the money that's been available to him has been near on, remarkable, really.
One of the biggest concerns for the board of directors at Tonbridge is the activity at the turnstiles. Tonbridge averages around 500 fans at every home game, which is very good for a club in the 7th tier of English football. However, a worrying trend for the people running the club is the average age of Tonbridge's weekly punter. Over the years, fewer and fewer young people have been coming through the gates, which could be a sign of potential tough years in the future for the club. Jim says that the club needs its young fans now more than ever, but urged that a balance must be struck between bringing in new blood and keeping the current loyal fans happy.
The future of this club lies in younger people coming to support us. There's no question about that. If we look around the ground on match day, the worry for me would be that the age profile is not young enough. Because that is your future. People who are like me on pensionable age are not really the future of Tonbridge Angels. There has to be a sensible age profile, and we want to see ladies come and watch us as well. We have a thriving ladies team, which has been actually very successful. But yeah, seeing more ladies come and watch games. Tonbridge, the population of Tonbridge is growing. We know that from all the building that's going on in the town. It's easy to see. We know that we can see the platform of Tonbridge Station and people going to commute in London. So we know the population is growing. We need some of that to come into this ground and enjoy themselves on Saturday afternoons.
Hello guys and welcome back to another video today.
Mark Davison is one of the young people leading the trend of bringing young people back to non-league football. Mark has been attending Tonbridge matches both home and away since 2011 and is very much involved with bringing the club into the spotlight on social media through his YouTube channel, Tonbridge Fan TV.
I try to go to as many games as possible and just share my experiences around going to the game. I've just this season I've added my transport to the games, and it's good to share that. And I enjoy sharing people who don't support Tonbridge, or even people who can't get to the games, show how good it is watching Tonbridge. And other non-league games I go to as well. I consider myself as a super fan. I went to Lowestoft away on the train last year, so if that's not a super fan, I don't know what is.
It's plain to see that the fan-owned aspect of clubs like Tonbridge Angels FC have helped foster a huge sense of community amongst the fans towards the club. The average punter is really made to feel like they're part of the club they support and that they have a voice. But for every club in the lower echelons of English football, promotion is always on the mind, and due to less funds being available, it can be difficult for clubs like Tonbridge to compete. When it comes to success under the structure, many fans have mixed feelings on its viability.
The one worry is the money. If they stop in the top of the league this year and go up, it's whether they can afford it.
Tonbridge has always been a good small club, and it's well supported. Yeah, financially at times can get a bit difficult, but I think that's the same for any non-league club.
I think we've got good, honest people in charge who are doing a great job. I think certainly the community model was a good idea. I think it's probably been fairly slow to get into people's heads, but yeah, I think that is the way to go.
Obviously we'd like more money, but we haven't got it. But with the money we've got, I think the manager and the team overall do pretty well.
Some would argue that the further you move up the leagues, the harder it can be for fan-owned clubs to keep up. Wycombe Wanderers were unable to take part in this documentary due to their current plans to move back to majority shareholder ownership, rather than the fan structure they're currently implementing. A letter sent to fans from Wycombe chairman Trevor Stroud read,
"We will be asking legacy members to vote on whether or not to accept investment into the club from 2 American businessmen, Bill Luby and Jim Collis, who are seeking a majority stake in Wycombe Wanderers. We've been entrusted to make the right decisions, and we are confident that we have found the best people to take the club forward in Bill and Jim.
Tonbridge's season has been mixed this year. A fantastic start to the season was marred by an awful end to 2018, where they won just one in their last 10 matches. However, the playoff run here is in full swing, and fans and management alike are all convinced that they'll be able to make the run to playoffs and further on up the leagues as the years go by. However, clubs like Tonbridge Angels do face an uncertain future. Some clubs cannot simply keep up and have reverted back to majority shareholder ownership like Wycombe Wanderers. However, only time will tell if Tonbridge Angels are ahead of the curve or simply left in the past.